I think what you see in the way the jury rendered its verdict is the reality of the terrible internal conflict we all as a community feel. On the one hand, we want to see good policing. On the other hand, it is absolutely essential that bad policing is made accountable. This has been I would say, reflective of a sea change in where we're going in terms of police accountability. The notion that there would be a guilty finding in respect of an attempt murder charge is a message loud and clear that the old days where a police officer went to trial in the shooting death of a mentally ill or an emotionally disturbed person and literally enjoyed an immunity at the end of a trial, those days are gone. I think it's important to also confine ourselves to the facts of each case. So you can only take so much from each case and simply apply it across the board. Obviously, you saw, the entire country has seen what was done to Sammy Yatim on that streetcar. Everyone saw. Everyone assessed for themselves the credibility of Officer Forcillo's claims as to his fears and to the actions of Sammy Yatim. This jury flatly rejected that he was a threat. Clearly, the idea that the Toronto police training could be a defense or an answer to what amounts to attempt murder has now been thoroughly rejected. But you have to ask yourself a question. What is the state of the training such that that's what they could rely on, such that these are the kinds of officers we could produce? It's been far too long. But it's a good day.
Well, how do you interpret the acquittal then?
The jury, first of all, I want to be clear. I'm not the criminal trial lawyer on this case. I'm a civil trial lawyer for this case. I act for the family on the lawsuit. I'm a criminalist as well, and I'll tell you the things that I see from afar. Obviously, in entering a not guilty verdict, the jury's made clear on a charge of murder and on a charge of manslaughter that they have a reasonable doubt about the suggestion that excessive force was used in the initial stages of the shooting. It's absolutely true. He was exonerated in that respect by virtue of a not guilty verdict. On the other hand, the statement is loud and clear that not all of the force he resorted to was reasonable, and in fact it was criminal, attracting a mandatory minimum jail sentence, among other things. So a defense lawyer has a job to do. Peter Brody's doing his job. He's a very good lawyer. He may view it as something that is ultimately appropriate to bring a stay application, but that will be for the judge to determine. And certainly the state of the law in Canada today is that guilty finding will result in a conviction.
Monsieur Falconer en français, Monsieur Falconer, vous nous dire quelques mots. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de ce qui s'est passé ici aujourd'hui? Un message aux policiers?
Vraiment un message aux policiers. Premièrement, on a toujours le défi que la confiance dans les polices.
He's saying it's a message to police.
Toutes les causes qui ont été arrivées avant, chaque fois, c'est un non coupable. Aujourd'hui, c'est nouveau.
Before these kind of situations, it would be a not guilty verdict, but this is new.
Le message, c'est un message d'accountabilité.
It's a message of accountability.
On a quelque chose pour répondre.
In terms of getting the message, I believe he's still suspended with pay. He's free on bail. He has officers escort him 10 or 12 to a waiting Toronto Police Service SUV. He's been convicted of attempted murder. A mandatory 4-year sentence minimum, as you said. So what message is Chief Saunders sending?
Well, I don't even think you have to deal with it on the question of Officer Forcillo individually. Take a look at the recommendations by Justice Iacobucci in his lethal force report. No matter the propaganda and public relations exercise they put you through about implementing those 84 recommendations, the truth is the heart of those recommendations has yet to be fully implemented. The reality is that today, just as yesterday and the day before, officer safety has fallen completely, totally as the ruling decision maker, the ruling calculus, if you will, when determining use of force. It has gone so out of whack that an officer's safety will trump and indeed justify lethal force if someone has a pencil in their hand and they're emotionally disturbed. That balance hasn't been fixed. The training is still the same. The training is still the same. Mobile crisis teams that would specialize in de-escalating, combining a police officer and a health professional, still are not available 24/7 across this city on call.
Do you think this will be a catalyst for change in those areas?
The only thing that causes change are either for government actors are either fear or shame. Now, in my view, today should be a shameful day. We should all be ashamed that it took all of this to get focus on what they're doing. Will it cause them to change? Nothing has so far. I've said it before, I feel like a gerbil on a wheel in a cage for 25 years acting on these cases. Time after time, what I see is needless deaths for people who are mentally ill, for people who are emotionally disturbed occur. And we're told the same thing every time. I have to use my gun to end the threat. Shooting someone like a dog in a street who can't even pronounce or know where they are or what their name is makes no sense. Justice Yakabuchi has put an important report across. They need an independent audit to get the truth about what they're implementing, because I tell you right now, they have not implemented that report.
You're not thumbing his nose at the jury tonight. The officers weren't putting in any punishment, and he's spending public tax dollars to escort him in and out.
I'm honestly not going to be drawn into a question of how tough Chief Saunders is on Officer Forcillo. Chief Saunders has to answer to his police services board. I have no idea whether Saunders is behaving appropriately or inappropriately when it comes to managing Forcillo.
Looking at your past experience with when other police officers have been charged, with the releasing of video, of YouTube video, perhaps made a difference in perhaps a conviction in some of those other cases?
I can tell you absolutely unequivocally that the presence of video evidence is a game changer. There's no doubt about it. Whether we're talking about G20, whether we're talking about the death of Mr. Jaganski at the Vancouver airport, so many of these cases, when the public sees for themselves firsthand what we as lawyers, as technicians, are trying to bring out in the evidence via transcripts and the like, there's a huge difference. Video has made police accountable. But I say this, that it's only the evolution of public mentality, the realization that there's good police officers and bad police officers, that's starting to change things. It shouldn't be us against the police anymore. It should be us, the community, along with good police officers, all against bad policing. That's the change we need. We need to start understanding that there's very good police officers there. We should be lining up with them. We should be supporting them. And we should help them get rid of bad policing. Unfortunately, the way it's always been is us against the police. It shouldn't be like that.
The way that video went to YouTube so quickly and now the charge is this precedent setting and the use of video.
Absolutely. And I understand why defense counsel needs to criticize the presence of the video out there and the concern over sensationalism at trials. A perfect example is the instructions I received and the approach we took to this trial. You will not have seen us make any public statements during the criminal trial. These are solemn moments. Person's freedom is on the line, a death has occurred. But it isn't true to say that the video shouldn't have been out there. It isn't true to say that the public shouldn't have a role in observing and caring about what happens in a trial. This is very much the public's trial. This is very much the public's entitlement to accountability. What you saw today was a measure of justice, both in the acquittal and in the findings of guilt.
Mr. Falconer, I know that you had a prepared statement for Ms. Bahati, but can she give us a sense of whether or not she's satisfied, whether or not she is still angry that James Forcillo was not convicted?
I've explained already, and I don't mean to cut you off, I've explained already that she's made her statement and she will not be answering any questions. So that is it. Yep. So the civil case is ongoing. If you go to our website, falconers.ca, the pleadings are available. Today's not a day in which I want to go into, the technical realities of a lawsuit and the impact of the verdict. I don't think it's appropriate. But in terms of the lawsuit itself, it's a matter of public record, and certainly if you go on our website, you can obtain it.